How you doing today, folks? Now, before we get started, I want to take a quick shout out for all my new subscribers. Every day we continue to grow little by little, and it means the absolute world to me. I get to talk to all of you. A lot of you guys have me on Facebook or Instagram. We actually have conversations, which is really the whole reason why I started this channel. So to be able to talk to you guys, interact with you guys, and talk knives just makes my absolute day. Now, we're also going to be giving away a $1,000 knife when we hit 1,000 subscribers, so definitely stay tuned for that. It's going to be something absolutely crazy. A true grail for somebody. Now, this is going to be the review of the Boker Knives full-size Kwaiken. This version comes in stock carbon fiber scales. I did have these upgraded at 6.3 Blade Works for a maroon micarta. Very, very nice. Looks almost like wood textured, but it's a this beautifully finished micarta. Now, a couple things. We're going to speak about the action first, and we're going to go to the blade, the ergonomics, the carry profile, as well as the actual philosophy of use for this piece. Now, as far as the action, as you can see, it flips out just fine. The actual landing of how you flip this piece out, your thumb or your pointer finger gets jammed into this piece and then scrapes across. So it's not the most comfortable thing. However, it does deploy reliably, on time, every time. Now, as far as the actual blade goes, we have VG10 steel right here, which is an absolutely fantastic steel. It's by no means a high quality steel, but even though it does not retain an edge for very long, you can sharpen it up very easily, which in my personal opinion is a welcome trade-off. A lot of people like the super steels, and I definitely understand the appeal of them, but with the VG10, if you dull this knife, you can probably sharpen it back up to a screaming razor edge in about 5 minutes time. And that is absolutely fantastic. Now, this is obviously a Burnly design, as it says right there. This also has the IKBS bearing system, which is the reason why it is so damn smooth. Now, Lucas Burnly is pretty famous for his Kwaiken designs. I've had a couple of his customs, but this Boker production is so damn close to the custom, it's really kind of crazy. So as far as the stock carbon fiber scales, which I have in a box somewhere around here, they have a very nice texture to them. They're very enjoyable in hand. Personally, I just have this kind of obsession with micarta. So this is the way I had to go. Now, but the blade itself is fantastic. I'm kind of ping-ponging around a little bit, folks. I apologize. But the blade is fantastic. It sharpens very easily. It's a very clean cutter. It really does slice fantastically. The edge geometry is really good. We have a bit of a fatter blade stock, which you can see does taper in and out, which gives you this kind of 3D effect if you look at it closely. But despite the blade stock, the edge itself is actually very, very thin, and it very much shows that in performance. Now, as far as the actual how it feels in hand, this knife is both a hit and a miss for me. Okay, so for me personally, it's not comfortable. But every other person who I had handled this knife that has smaller hands thought it was wonderfully comfortable. So for me, because I have these big 2XL hands, I can't fold it all the way around, and this piece stabs straight into my actual hand. When I go to use it, I get a blister right there. Now that's just probably me. So if you don't have, again, 2XL hands, you're not really going to have that issue. Also, I got a pinky sticking off of this. So the ergonomics for me aren't quite all there. Does not change the fact that it's still a damn solid knife. As far as the carry profile, this thing carries like an absolute dream. This is basically a folding steak knife, folks. And it feels very cleanly in the pocket. You don't really feel too much of it. There's a little bit of weight to it. It's about a 4-ounce knife. But you can definitely still feel it, but it feels pretty damn good. So definitely overall a solid piece. As far as the philosophy of use on this knife, I've definitely used this. You can see there's little bits of marks here and there, little scratches. It has been resharpened, though it's been resharpened professionally by Mr. Apostle P. And overall, I loved using this knife. I wasn't a huge fan of, again, the ergonomics of it, but when you're actually kind of working with it, it feels very, very good in hand. Now, as far as some size comparisons, we're going to throw up the Benchmade 940, the Benchmade full-size Reptilian. I also have the Cold Steel Knives 8010 with me right now, so I'm going to go ahead and throw that one up. Here is a Demco 8015. And I'm going to also go ahead and throw up a Hinderer XM24. So as you can see, it's not by any means a small knife, but it is very sleek and slender and very thin in pocket. So overall, it carries very nice. Despite the fact that it is a fairly long knife, it is also a pretty small knife based on the actual profile and how it all holds in hand. Now, as you can see, this is actually pretty fat. But most of this thickness has to do with the actual micarta scales. The carbon fiber scales are very flat and very thin. I do have bigger hands, so definitely wanted more of the like kind of thicker contoured micarta. So most of the thickness comes from aftermarket parts. By itself, it's actually a pretty thin knife. We do have some pretty fat liners here, but again, overall, it has a pretty damn slim hand feel. Now, as far as the negatives to this knife, they're going to be kind of subjective because, again, I have pretty damn large hands. This piece does not feel good to me at all. It just doesn't. But it's not really this big of a problem because, again, everybody else who I've had handle this knife has zero problems with it. So for the price point of what this knife is, which this retails for about $200, you can find it much less than that on secondary. This is actually sold. I think I sold it for like $130 or something like that. It really is good to go. There are definitely better things out there, but those things tend to cost a bit more. So for the price range, if this type of aesthetic appeals to you, it definitely is a phenomenal knife overall. Now, my only real problems with this knife come with how this carries in pocket because of this clip. This clip is so damn weird, and I just don't understand why they made it that way. It just does not retain very well. Now, you can definitely get an aftermarket clip, but as you can see, this bends up so easily that and it's so thin and so small that it very easily slides out of the pocket. Now, I've never dropped this knife, but it has come to the point where it's like right there and I could feel it leaning out of my pocket. I was like, oh crap, and I have to push it back in. But as far as downsides to this knife, again, it could be a better steel. It could be a titanium liner instead of steel liners, but at the same time, we're also nitpicking here because we're basically trying to, find a reason to dislike this knife. So my overall score on this knife is going to be a 90. That's going to be a 9 out of 10 or a 90 out of 100. Overall, an absolutely fantastic piece. There are problems with it. There are things that are a little better in that price point. As far as the whole retail aspect of this goes, this was a $100 knife or even $150. I would definitely have a higher opinion of it, but for being closer to that $200 range, there's just very stiff competition out there. So again, 9 out of 10. Overall, still a fantastic knife. Still qualifies as great on my scale. Now, that's going to be it for today, folks. As always, I love you all very, very much. Please take care. I appreciate you all so very much. Thank you for your likes, support, subscribes, your comments. And as always, do me just one personal favor and do the best you can to be a better person tomorrow than you are today. And I do promise you will find your center in life. Take care, folks. As always, I love you. Now, bye.